Ladies and gentlemen, Outriders is back with its first expansion, Outriders Worldslayer. I personally cannot believe that it's been over a year since Outriders originally released. In my kind of unique perspective review video, I'm going to be going over all the new contents, all the new systems with you from my unique perspective. Now, I'll be honest with you, Outriders holds a very special spot in my heart, as when this game first came out, Leeroy Gaming, the channel, was in its infancy. I believe when I played the open beta for Outriders, my channel had about 200 subscribers, and I absolutely loved Outriders, the original, warts and all. In fact, I believe it is the quintessential diamond in the rough type of game that punches way above its weight class. Now, while I will be honest and say I do have a bias towards this game, it doesn't keep me from providing you guys with an honest opinion, and I have no trouble giving this game tough love when it deserves it. I played the original Outriders for over 1,000 hours, and I've spent over 200 hours on this game between beta and early release. So I feel like I can give you guys a very in-depth perspective of what I think this game provides and what it still sorely needs. My name is Leeroy, this is Leeroy Gaming, and let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at what I think of Outriders Worldslayer and all of its new features. Is it worth your time? Well, let's take a look and find out. Alright guys, so I'm going to start with the new campaign. And I will say right off the bat that if you played the original, the campaign compared to original is quite a bit shorter. So I do feel like the quality is there when it comes to the cinematics. The graphics are just as good, if not better. But there's definitely a length issue, and this is because of two elements. Number one, the main story just isn't that long. I couldn't help but feel like there was almost like a missing second act. You get thrown into the campaign, it feels really good, you meet the main antagonist, and then I can't help but feel like we transition to the end game very, very quickly. I'm not going to spoil anything story-wise. I don't mind the story. I think it's on par with the main story, but I do feel it's short. The second issue I have is the lack of the side content. What I absolutely loved in Outriders Vanilla, more than the main story, were all the side activities. Some of the side quests gave you in-depth information on some of the baddies you fought, and if you didn't do the side quests, you would miss out. There were hunt quests. When you went and hunted monsters, there were kind of assassination bounty hunter quests where you went against human NPCs, and collection quests. I absolutely adored those, and this game has none of that. What I will say, and this is a personal opinion, I have no data to back this up, but I feel like this game suffered from either a budget cut or a smaller budget. And I wouldn't be surprised, considering that so many games nowadays are heavy on microtransactions, that this game, because it just offered a great value right off the bat, it could not make enough money to warrant a big budget for the expansion, and hence the content suffered here. Now, during the campaign, you're going to meet some really cool monsters, like the kind of new Yeti monster. It's really cool. A couple new boss types that I did enjoy, and the environments feel really, really good. So where you go, it feels nice. It feels new in a lot of cases, but I just was left wanting more. Now, next, let's talk about the end game, the Trial of Teria Gratar. Basically, this is kind of like a big kind of almost dungeon you enter. And I say it's a dungeon because there is a definitive entrance point, and then you don't really exit it until you abandon it or you complete it. And as you can see in the image here, there's a bunch of noded rooms that are interconnected, and you can either kind of take a straight shot from the first area towards the final boss, but you're going to also notice there are going to be these side rooms. And these side rooms are specifically built for target farming. So there is a room for every single armor type. So you can go and clear one specific room that will drop a greater focus of boots, another one for chest, another one for gloves, another one for your helmet, and so forth. Now the layouts and themes of these rooms do differ. There are a couple that are kind of like horde mode where enemies keep coming at you. Some are just traditional clears. Some are mini boss fight battles. There is decent variety here. However, they are not procedurally generated. So once you clear these once, you're going to know exactly what's going on here. Now, the main reason this content is difficult is because it does not scale to the number of players in the runs. For those of you that don't know, vanilla content, normal campaign content would scale to the number of players. So you would actually get more or less enemies, and the difficulty would scale more directly. Here, however, your apocalypse level, apocalypse tier, is going to dictate difficulty, the level of the enemies, but you're going to get the full amount of enemies coming at you no matter how many players are with you. So it's much, much more difficult for a single player if you don't have a powerful build than it is in multiplayer. Now, can you clear the single player? Yes, most definitely, especially if you have a good build. Check out my Technomancer build that already went live. That build will melt everything in seconds. And there's other builds as they get more powerful, they're going to be able to do the same thing. But for more casual players or new players, don't be surprised if you enter this and get absolutely smoked. Now, unfortunately, there are no new expeditions. For those of you that played vanilla and also the New Horizon update, they had added some amazing new expeditions. They even had secrets built in that were really cool. We were hoping something like this would be added to Worldslayer. Unfortunately, and again, my belief is because of budget restrictions, they were not able to do new content when it comes to that. You can still do those expeditions and they will scale with your apocalypse tiers. But unfortunately, there's nothing new. So one concern I do have that even though I didn't really burn out on it, I do feel that if you're a more casual player, you may get a little bored running the same exact dungeon over and over and over again. Now, if you enjoyed the amount of content that you had with the expeditions, this is pretty close to that prior to the New Horizon editions, and you can still mix and match the expedition content with this endgame content technically, so there is a decent variety, but I was left wanting more after a while. Now that brings us to the new difficulty system. You have heard me talk about apocalypse tiers. So what has changed is that in vanilla, you had a separate system of world tiers that was basically how difficult the world content would become. And you had a separate challenge tiers that were exclusive to the expeditions. And it was a little clunky because you had to level up each separately and they did not kind of interact with each other. Well, now that is all gone. There's one universal system that's called the apocalypse tier system. And this now goes from level 1 to level 40. And this will level up regardless of whether you're in the open world, whether you're doing expeditions, or the new endgame system. So it replaces all the old systems. As you level up, the enemies get tougher, you get better drop rates, you also get kind of loot as a reward for unlocking new tiers. Oftentimes it's legendary loot. Now, hand in hand with the Apocalypse tier system comes the Apocalypse gear. Now, the Apocalypse gear system is a system where every time Epic, which is purple, or legendary gear drops, it has a chance to roll as an Apocalypse item. When that happens, it rolls a third mod on it. Now, this mod cannot be modified. You cannot adjust it like you can one of the first two primary elements. And as you can imagine, this adds a lot more options because your armor pieces, instead of having a total of 10 mods, you can now get up to 15. Your weapon, instead of having 2, can now have 3. This is going to make all of your old gear obsolete, and you're going to be hunting down gear with these mods exclusively. All right, now speaking of gear, this expansion has added 100 new legendary items, and this is going to be spread across new sets. So each class is going to get 2 new 5-piece sets. The majority of them are quite good and fun. All those new pieces add brand new tier 3 mods, and some of them are absolutely game-changing. In addition to this, there's a couple of generic sets, and unlike the infamous Cannonball set, these sets have some potential. Now, I haven't found ways to min-max them like some of the class-specific sets as of yet, but at least the bonuses seem interesting and fun. There is even a set that helps you buff the potency of your handgun. So if you ever wanted to do a pure gunslinger build, it has potential. Now, on top of the armor, you're also going to get a couple dozen new legendary guns, and some of these are quite amazing. Here, for example, is one of my favorites, the Final Penance. So you can get some absolutely amazing effects, especially if you roll them with the new Apocalypse 3rd mods on here. Lots of new amazing combinations. The next new system is the Ascension system. And so think of this as alternate advancement, similar to like in Diablo 3. And so you can get up to 200 levels unlocked. You unlock these through exclusively killing monsters. So Quest XP doesn't help you with this, it's just killing stuff. And what's nice about these points is there's 4 categories. One that's more for anomaly power base, one is for firepower base, defense, and utility. And you can put up to 10 levels into each category. It does have kind of a top end scaling. So as you put the first couple points into each category, it may only increase things by like 0.1%, 1%. But a lot of times, by the time you put the last couple points in and that 10th point, you may, for example, get plus 10% to your anomaly power, or plus 10% to your anomaly damage. Other things like plus 25% to your ammo capacity in each chamber. All right, now we'll talk about the final major feature to the expansion, and that is the Pax skill tree system. Now, I do want to mention what was not added in the expansion. So some people have asked, are there new classes or new skill nodes in the original skill trees? And the answer to both of those questions is no. So those, outside of some minor tweaks, have not been changed. And again, no new classes. However, each class does have a brand new Pax Tree. Now, right here, you can see the Pax Tree for the Devastator. And there's 2 unique trees you can kind of go down. You will get 5 and only 5 points throughout your campaign and endgame. So the way it works is by completing the main campaign, you will get 4 of the 5 points. And then as soon as you beat the first boss in the endgame system, you will unlock the 5th and final point. Just like with every other system, you can respec at any time for free. And these are pretty much game changing. So as a very quick example, my Devastator, there is a node that makes it so that all the seismic abilities now automatically cause bleeding. This is important because there is in the passive tree an ability to make that you heal based off all the bleed damage you do. So this is a way that without having to utilize any mods, you can basically make everything bleed. Another amazingly versatile Pax node is one that basically makes all of your ability damage provide the Devastator with shielding. So shielding used to be unique to the Trickster, but now you can now take the most tanky class, the Devastator, who has great armor, can heal through bleeding in addition to traditional anomaly power damage healing, and now can also have shielding. So that's just one way to customize your character, and all of the classes have a variety of ways to customize your builds. I love this system. It creates a lot of variety. Now, I will say that each class does seem to kind of have an optimized meta setup currently. There is some variety, but as you'll see in the builds that myself and other people put out, there are just certain nodes that are better than others. They have been working on this and they're going to continue to work on it. But with that being said, there is still enough room for some tweaking. And especially if you don't mind not being absolutely min-maxed, you can have some fun with these as well. All right, now finally, I want to talk about value and my final thoughts. So this game retails without any discounts, this upgrade, for $39.95 on Steam. Currently, you can get it for 10% off on Steam, and other vendors have different discounts. You can get as high as, I believe, about 25% off. I believe Good Old Gaming has about 20 to 25% off. So look around. If you're not quite ready to spend $40 on this update, you may be able to get it for quite a bit less. Now, do I recommend this? Well, if you have never played Outriders and you choose to pick up Outriders plus the expansion, then I 100% recommend this. When you combine the main campaign, all the classes, all the loots, the expeditions, the new endgame system, and again, all of this can now scale because of the new difficulty scaling, then you are getting a lot of fun with a really, really good game. It's a AA title that, again, punches way above its weight class. And if you're brand new to the game, you are going to have a blast, especially if you can get 1 or 2 friends with you to play. The game is fully cross-play compatible, so you can play PC, Xbox, PlayStation, you name it. It is very, very good. Now, if you are a hardcore Outriders player, where you, like me, have played hundreds of hours, and you are looking forward to just making new builds, maxing out new characters, and you're kind of addicted to that game's playstyle, then this is going to be more than worth your value. Again, the campaign is, you're going to probably blow through it in an hour, maybe 2, if you're kind of a power gamer. And the end game system, you're going to probably school it pretty quickly, but there's enough variety, and again, the key is in the depth of builds you can make. And so for hardcore players, I definitely recommend this as well. Now, if you're a casual gamer and your main thing is to play through the storyline, you are unlikely to kind of, min-max any builds. If you're not going to go to max level and grind, then this may not necessarily be worth the full price tag. You may want to hold off and wait till it's on a deep sale, for example, because you are going to probably beat the campaign in a couple hours, even if you are a casual player and take your time. I don't see the main campaign taking more than 3 to 6 hours for the average player. And if you're not going to play all the classes, you're not going to grind in depth, that's probably not worth $35 to $40. Now, I traditionally don't give numerical scores to games, but if I were to give one for this game, I would say it's about an average of about 7.5 out of 10. If you're a hardcore gamer, and a hardcore Outriders player, I would say your perceived value may go up closer to a 9. If you're super casual, this may dip lower than that as far as perceived value. So there you go, guys. There's my Outriders Worldslayer review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to drop a like. Let me know your comments. What are your thoughts? Let me know below. Did you like it? Were you disappointed? Have you been able to log in and play it? Let me know. And of course, subscribe and smash that notification bell to be notified when I have new builds and guides dropping for Outriders Worldslayer. Thank you for the support, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.